I'm going to try in 20 minutes to tell you not only what is happening to the world economy, but what is likely to happen. I have two huge stories to tell you. Story one is globalization. That overlays everything. And I think Kofi Annan caught it by saying that to argue against it is arguing against the laws of gravity. And the other one is debt. This is the thing that characterizes this downturn, this huge, huge pile-up of debt, which Europe and North America, as Barack Obama comments there, I found this national debt doubled, wrapped in a big bow, waiting for me when I came to the Oval Office. But before I do anything else, I want to ask you to step back in time, because the world in 10 or 20 years that we are going to has a number of characteristics of the world of a couple of hundred years ago. And that principal characteristic is that the power is going back to the big population countries. We can see that happening. The G20 has replaced the G7. Asia is now the main source of savings in the world. China, the world's second largest economy. India, the second largest investor in the United Kingdom. And by the way, it's a trick question that we Brits, that I put on Brits. That is, what is Britain's largest manufacturing company? And the answer is it's Tata of India. So, huge shift. And if you look back in time to the size of the world economies in relative terms 200 years ago, this is what you'd have seen. There was a very clever study of it done by a man at the OECD. And in 1820, the world's largest economy was China, and the world's second largest was India. Just keep that image in your mind, as we'll be seeing something a bit similar in a few minutes' time. So first I'm going to look at the forces behind this power shift, then how the downturn speeded it up, then what might happen to the Eurozone, if we can manage to say anything sensible about that, and then finally look forward to the world economy in 20 years' time. And I'm going to talk about these four main forces for change: demography, the environment, technology, and government. The world is getting older. The developed world is getting older very fast. Did you know that Europe is now, with Japan, the oldest continent on Earth? The average age of Europeans clicks up by about 4 months every year. The average goes up. We go up by 1 year, but the average we pull along behind us. Italy, the average age is about 45 at the moment, going up 46. Within our lifetimes, it'll be over 50. Imagine a country where the average age is over 50. The US, however, still relatively young. And on this graph, I've shown you some figures which show the proportion of the people over the age of 65. Can you see a very steep line on that graph? That's Japan, by far the world's oldest country. One of the reasons why Japan isn't growing, the US relatively is. Turkey, extremely interesting. Did you know, can you see in the middle of that graph, Turkey had the same birth rate as India in 1960. You had an average of 6 babies per mother. Huge increase. All those people born then, now still in the workforce. It came down so that Turkey now has roughly the same sort of birth rate as much of Western Europe, Northern Europe, around about 2.1 babies per mother, just above replacement rate. One of the reasons why Turkey is going to be a big success story in economic terms during the next 20, 30 years. We'll see just where it comes to in the World League as a result. And this had big implications for business. Northern Europe, less challenged than Spain and Italy. Turkey benefits now. China benefits now. India's sweet spot is later. And there are obvious consequences of this in economic terms. I mean, Europe has to fix its finances, which it spectacularly is not doing. But also less obvious. How do you adapt to this known change? Second force for change is greenery. What are we going to do to keep the world economy going? Is there the oil? Are there the fuels? Will we develop the alternatives? I think we'll want to go on wanting to move around the world. I'm not sure that we will be able to change that very much. Have a look at this one. If you look at the bottom of that graph, the three bottom chunks are all fossil fuels: coal, gas, oil. In 2030, according to this study by BP, 80% of the fuel driving the world will be fossil fuel. Put in windmills, have solar panels, do all that stuff. You're still actually going to need coal and oil and gas. And did you know, every 2 days, China builds a new power station? Did you know that last year, China built new power stations in about 4 months, equivalent to the entire output of Turkish electricity generation? And they're mostly on coal. So that goes on and on and on. And all the oil, by the way, increasingly comes from Russia and the Middle East. Down there, over there, coming through here, some of it literally through here. So this is a world where power shifts to the oil-rich countries. It shifts to Russia, it shifts to the Middle East. It benefits countries that are in the vicinity because they will sell services to those places. If you're running a company, however, you'd better be green. If you have a reputation of being green, you escape from all sorts of things that the dirty companies don't get. But the big point is, I want to get over, is that energy redistributes power. But it also benefits companies, people, countries that are good at adapting. Technology. You've heard a huge wodge about it, and I'm not going to talk about social media, I'm not going to talk about marketing. What I'm going to talk, I'm an economist, I'm going to talk about the economics of this flatter world. Because technology means that people can be competing from you anywhere on the planet. This is just a thing of what are the top 16 markets for mobiles in the world. The largest market is China. The second largest is India. Do you see, in that technology of mobile telephony, we're back to 1820. In terms of power, we're back to where we were then. More mobile phones in India, many more in India than in the US. More in the Philippines than in the UK. More in about the same number in Bangladesh and Turkey. So, and incidentally, actually, almost as many mobiles in Turkey than in the UK, probably more if you wait a week or two. Internet users by world region, orange bit, that's Asia. More internet users in Asia than Europe and North America combined. So that shift has gone. Oh, and by the way, Turkey needs to up its game in broadband penetration, still down there with Russia and China, not up with the US, Canada, or UK. That's one of the things that I think you can and should do.